Thank you. Thank you for being with me. I will show how a senior care residence provides proper care, attention, and love to their residents with the help of Odoo. This is how we got started with independent opticians. This is how we got started into the healthcare field. A lot of independent opticians had a hard time or very hard to use 90s looking kind of software with a lot of colors and a lot of buttons. And we started using Odoo as a platform to build a solution for them. So we connected the EID reader for Belgium so they can easily add new customers, including a picture, address, date of birth, gender, directly into the system. And we added the vision tests. So everything to the vision test of an eye, sphere, cylinder, X, pupil distance. So they could enter this into the Odoo system. Of course, everything else, the products were frames and glasses. So everything which is standard in Odoo, going from the invoicing and inventory was in there. But their biggest pain for opticians was this. It's a health reimbursement in Belgium, and it kind of depends on your age, the type of glass you have. Is it the index, meaning how thick or thin your glass is? Is it anti-reflective? It depends on your sphere or your cylinder. And depending on this, you can pick and choose one of the 500 codes out there. So the customer can have a health reimbursement for his glasses. And they were struggling a lot of faulty codes in there. And although the complete list it looks like a little bit madness, but there's some logic in it. And computers love logic, right? So we've built this into the Odoo system. So now when they add a new customer, they add the vision test, they know which kind of glasses there are. Now this form is populated in a Odoo, and they just have to print it, stamp and sign it, and they're good to go. So this was really helping them forward. And this was also because we made this for the independent opticians that we started talking with Apricusa. Apricusa already have several senior care homes in the Belgian market and with their proper software, but they're expanding into Central and Eastern Europe. They wanted, the first is opened in Budapest in Hungary. So they were looking for, can we have a multi-language platform where we can not only do the care for the residents, but also the CRM, also the website. So a future resident can book an on-site visit straight from the system. And we adapted or modified Odoo so they could do, of course, CRM website, but also the complete care for their residents. So first thing is the residents, so the regular customers or contacts, they became now residents with all of their proper information. And what's important, it's not only just all the administrative info they need, but also their specific interests are in there. Because it's not only just care, it's also the love and attention they can give to their residents. What are they interested in? So we track this in the system, and over here all of the related family, the relatives, are in there as well. So now with one button they can immediately call the doctor, see whose family, see if they still have a brother, and be in contact with all of their relatives. What's also important is that we, on the doors, every room has a NFC tag. So now the caregiver comes in and they just scan the room number connected to the resident, and it's already open on their phone. So they see all the information from the residents without having to search, tab, or whatsoever. Also, if they want to call the physician, for example, they scan it, see the resident, go to their contacts, and they can call doctor relatives without searching and whatsoever. So that was one important for the residents. Of course, the care tree. The majority of the care, typically in a senior care home, there are at least 3 visits during the day. You have the morning, noon, evening visit. And when somebody comes in for their shift, we made an overview, which are mainly tasks, of what care needs to be given to the residents. So this is because it's a 5-floor senior home that we started over here in Hungary. It's grouped by floor, and so they see when somebody comes in for the morning routine, they see, okay, these residents needs care. They can immediately see on the stage what has been done, which is still open, and I'll go into detail. In the care, every resident have his own care tree, his own proper care tree, because some residents needs help with putting on their clothes. Some can do it can do it themselves. So every resident have his own care tree out here. So even when a new caregiver comes in, they know immediately what to do, what the specifics are. There's the wound care on there, so they immediately see what kind of wound care they need to give where it is, and it's a description of all of the tasks. Of course, they can use the built-in messaging system, for example, to email to the head nurse or to the medical director saying there is an issue or something, or I need help, or can you look at this? And this is a recurring task because every morning, again, these residents need care. So when somebody is clicked, it's done. They know which caregiver has given the care at what time, and everything is nicely tracked into the system. I'll go back over here. On the overview, very important, typically the head nurse or medical director, when they come in the morning in this example, and they come in at 10:30, they want to see what is done, what is still open, did we miss anything? So they have a nice overview of all the care that has been given, what is still open, and so on. Another very important, all the vitals information. For some residents, you need to track the vitals information, and for vitals, I mean it's the blood pressure, temperature, pulse rate, glycemia, for if you're diabetic, weight, and the oxygen saturation. And what they do is some residents need to have their vitals checked every couple times a day, every other day, some none. It's just a recurring task every other day, couple times a day. It's scheduled. Sometimes it's included in the care tree in the morning routine or in the noon routine. And now they track all of the vitals over here. And you can have a nice overview, sorted by date, how it's evolving over time. Something that isn't ready yet, but we will use the graphical interface so you can also see it graphically, for example, see the blood pressure or weight evolving over time. So that's going to come into the system. So track everything from vitals information. Also, everything that's tracked over here, if, for example, if you go to the residents their page, all of these tasks are linked to the residents. What's really important, if a residents, for example, need to go to a hospital, that they can immediately send or print the medical report. So going to the resident, they click all of the care tree, all of the files information, the medical list, which we'll see in a bit. They can immediately have one nice PDF that they can send out electronically or print if they need to go to a hospital or a doctor or something. Medical list. Typically, they prepare all the medicines that needs to be given the night before. And over here is the customer, all the residents, what kind of medicine that needs to be given, and then also who's assigned to the task. Really important, because typically the majority of the medicines are given by the nurse, but some medicines are given by the head nurse only, or by a medical director or the physician. And then, is it prepared, yes or no? So that's typically evening before. And then same thing, once it's given, they just check the task as done. Same thing, everything is tracked. Who has given the medicine, what time, everything is nicely tracked. Because it's a task, you can use all the same messaging options saying there's an issue or something. They can track everything. A next step that's still open, you see over here right now, is just a checkbox, the ordering. The next system is we're gonna connect the Hungarian ordering system for the medicines. So these are also automatically ordered through the pharmacies. And then kitchen list. So kitchen lists, residents are in here. It's sorted by where they want to have their breakfast, lunch, or dinner. What are the specifics for the food? Do we need to mix the food, cut them in small pieces? Are they allergies? Are they diabetic? What's their favorite drink? So they got a nice list in the kitchen, what needs to be prepared, what are the specialties, so they have everything. So the kitchen can prepare their list. So the residents have their own, their favorite drink with the meal. So because sometimes maybe they want to have the breakfast in their room, but they want to have lunch in the cafeteria on the second floor. So it's nicely organized, so the kitchen knows what to do. And everybody knows, and everything is nicely tracked on the system. And all of this, and maybe that's the most important, all of these modifications that we've done, 98% is standard Odoo. The majority are just recurring tasks that are shown in a different way. We added fields, we added different views, but the majority is pretty default out of Odoo. And that's why Apricusa can start on a tight budget with their first senior care platform. And I think that's really important, because now things will change, they probably will grow, and now we can easily adapt. I think if you have a system, if you have a software where that has the back of your caregivers, then the caregivers also have the time and motivation to really give love, care, and attention to their residents. Thank you. More than welcome. Is there any questions or thoughts or?
Hey, just wondered, how did you help the guys or the nursery homes with the change management? Because I guess before they were mostly doing it maybe with paper or other software, and since this is a rather important place that they start using the software from the beginning correctly, basically, because imagine you forget to put something in the medication app. So I guess you had a rather, let's say, close follow-up with them for the first few months, or how did you manage that?
Well, the easy or great thing is it was a new starting senior care was a first. So, and it's always fun to come in with software if they don't know anything or done anything else before. So there was no change management, like that's the system. But you're right, if we would do this in Belgium, for example, where they're used to their own specifics. Painful.
Okay.
For sure.
Do you plan to expand then to more different like nursery homes, or was it only implemented in one so far?
So far, we started with the Apricusa with this one, but the goal is to really make it sort of a default module that we can give to where other senior care homes can work with as well, for sure.
So it's a developed module. It's not done with Studio.
It's not done with Studio, no.
Right. Yeah,
there are some, mock-ups are typically Studio, but it's developed, yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, do you have like tracking for the guests, like dementia and whatever? So if they go out of the home, there's like they're not in, they've gone off, or they've gone to relatives for the weekend, or they're sort of tracking where they are, incidents and things like this. Like for us, we have falls. We have to report falls to the local government, or serious incidents and things like this. There's a lot of statistics and things, so we have to know exactly where people are and things like that. Do you have that sort of booked into the appointments or something like that?
Yeah. So there is not the real specifics like who has gone out or they went with a relative. This is not tracked. There is a calendar like for one-off events. So, for example, they need to go to a doctor or hospital for a scheduled visit, so they need to be sober. So then it's a task that's ready like in the evening or morning, like watch out, she's going to be picked up at 7. She needs to be sober, but not really the ins and outs. Not yet in there, because it's not necessary for the senior care for the Apricusa one in Hungary right now. But I think with the same things that we've done, because there are all sorts of tasks, who has gone out or who is on a visit, I think it's fairly easy to add that as well.
Have you extended yet to inventory management? In other words, like the home might provide equipment for people, like on loan, but they also might bring their own, and they might come in with cash, they might come in with a nice watch or something like that, and sort of tracking these things of what they have in their room, what they're issued from stocks, maybe even medication. If they buy directly through the home, sometimes they get invoiced, or they might have it as by government subsidy, as you mentioned. So there can be all of these different ways of,
correct,
providing.
And that's a hard one. I feel, it's a hard one. Especially like the medical list. I know there's like, sometimes it's ordered through their own pharmacies, or a relative brings it in, and it makes it quite complicated. And it kind of depends per country as well, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So right now, it's not connected with the ordering system, so for the medical, but they want to have it, because in Hungary, they have to go through one central pharmacy connected to the senior care home, which makes it easier for us, but it's not the same in various countries, you have to connect to their own pharmacy, so it's a little bit more difficult. And other than the inventory, not in this version yet, in version 1 it's not in there, but that's probably something that's going to be added later on in the system. Thank you.
How did you convince your customer to choose Odoo instead of a specific software? Because it's a niche business.
Correct. I think when we got started into the opticians, and when they saw on what time we could implement the software for the opticians with all of the specifics and the health reimbursement, they say, well, every country typically has their own healthcare software, and it's very, niche, but it's like one for Belgium and then one for Hungary, but now they're sort of, we want to have it multi-language and not only Hungarian, because the majority of direction is like English speaking. So they want to have a multi-language. That's one thing. Typically, a lot of systems are one language for the country specific. And then also because they wanted to include everything is the CRM, the website on it. And then if it's the ordering process, then, I think same thing, 80, 85, 90% is already in Odoo, the ordering system, the minimal inventory, and it's this for the modifications. And also because their goal was to expand into various countries into Central and Eastern Europe. So when they want to add other countries, then typically they would be stuck with one in Hungary and one in Poland, and everyone their own system, and they don't have a nice overview. So that's the reason they went for Odoo.
Yeah, so first of all, I think that it's really nice, as you said, so that they can have more time to care for the elder people and also to track care, because we know that's also an issue sometimes. And I was wondering if you already thought about a way that the elder people could interact through the system, because we know that it's difficult for them to use some technology, but maybe that there's a new easy way they could maybe ask for assistance or assistance or something like that.
So the resident can ask for assistance?
Yeah, maybe through a button, or I don't know.
Yeah, and typically in the majority of the senior care homes, it is connected. Typically they do have a button like in most hospitals, so they can ask for care. And typically these things are almost always integrated with the software. So it's not integrated yet for over here in Hungary, but the majority of these systems have nice written APIs to connect to, so that's going to be something we're going to add as well to the software.
And one more, I also know that Odoo has nice events module, so I don't know if that's something maybe that you could put in it, if that's the goal, maybe that they could organize some events for older people.
Yeah. Right now we just the interest and hobbies were just in the tag, so they can search for it. But it would be even nicer when there is an event going on, so they can sort of subscribe or schedule the events. Yeah, that would be a nice feature. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Dominique.
Hi.
So all this, what you have implemented now, was based on the request of the customer, I suppose, right? It's a new elderly home that started up, so this is the basis. Now, from a more business point of view, if you could advise the customer to go to the next level using Odoo, what would you propose to them to start using in the system?
Well, I think one of the next things is all of the scheduling of the employees, because that's typically with all the different shifts that they have, weekends, nights, and so on. And that's always a real hassle. So the scheduling of the employees with the shifts will be probably a big advancement for the senior care home. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is just from a financial point of view is the accounting or the invoicing is also in senior care. There's a part of for the residents, part is sometimes government or health insurance. There are a lot of add-ons, but also to automate all of the invoicing on it. So invoicing, scheduling of people, that will probably be the biggest two business components that we can provide to the customer.
Maybe we can take one last question, if there is any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dominique.